Hey, Daniel here, I'm back, and in this video we are going to implement the change directory command, which is going to be a significant challenge. Not too big, but pretty significant nonetheless. And I'm not sure if we're going to squeeze it into this video. We'll see how it goes. But the goal here is at least to support CD with relative and with absolute paths. That is, we will not support dot and dot dot yet. Probably it's going to come into a next video right after this one. But here we are going to attempt to change directory in an absolute path and in a relative path relative to the current working directory. Okay, so without further ado, let's actually get right into it. So I'm going to create a new command as you've already got used to. So I'm going to say cd is a class, and cd receives a directory or dir name, something like that, which is a string, and this extends command. Okay, and obviously I need to override apply of a state, which is a state. Alt enter, import, this returns a state, and this is going to be the place where the magic is going to happen. Now, changing directory, what will this actually do? Well, the root folder structure or the actual file system structure is not going to change. That is, the root of the state is going to stay the same. It's just the working directory that is going to change if it's found. Okay, so what we're going to support right now is cd an absolute path, that is slash something else slash so on and so forth. Okay. So this is an absolute path, and cd a slash b slash c or something like that, which is a relative path to the current working directory. Okay, so this is what we're aiming for right now, and after that, maybe in this video, maybe in the next video, we're going to support cd dot dot, cd dot, cd a slash dot slash dot dot slash dot slash a slash, and so on and so forth, mixed in between relative and absolute paths, right? So this is going to be like a part 2, but this guy is going to be our main focus for right now. Okay, cool. So what do we have to do right now? So let's split this problem into some more manageable chunks, right? Like we did with the mkdir. So first of all, we need to find the root. Okay, all simple. This is step number 1, find root. Step number 2 is going to be to find the absolute path of the folder or the directory. Let's stick it to this term. Of the directory I want to cd to, regardless of whether the path that I'm supplying here is already absolute or if the path is relative. Okay. Then I need to actually do the changing directory. Do the change in directory. Actually, I want to find the directory to cd to, given the path. And 4, change the state, given the new directory. Okay, so these are my 4 main steps to follow. Cool. Now, some of these steps are very simple. So finding the root is very simple. I'm just going to say val root is state.root. Okay, this is all well and good. Finding the absolute path is going to be interesting because we have multiple cases to deal with. So let's just create another value here for the working directory for convenience, and finding the absolute path here is going to taking into account multiple cases. So val, let's call this absolute path. This is going to say the following. So if this value that I'm supplying here to the cd command is already an absolute path, that is, if it starts with slash, then it's already an absolute path, right? So if dir starts with directory separator, so directory separator, I don't have the class imported yet, Alt Enter. Cool. So if the dir starts with directory separator, then it's dir itself because it's an absolute path. Otherwise, if, now here it becomes interesting. One would be tempted to write just wd.path plus directory separator plus dir, right? Because if it's not an absolute path, then it's a relative path which starts from wd. But if you come to think of it, if wd is already slash, that is, if wd is already the root folder, then this guy would fail because I'm appending another slash. So I'm getting another slash plus a, b, c, whatever. And this is wrong, okay? So we would need two checks here. wd is root or something like that. We're going to create a small method which tests if a folder is already a root. Then if wd is root, then without any directory separator. Okay. Otherwise, just wd path plus directory separator plus dir, which is the normal relative path here. Now let's create the isRoot method in the directory class. Let's create this like right over here. So def isRoot, which is a boolean. And what is this going to do? Well, parent path is probably going to be empty, right? So parent path is empty. Okay, now we're ready to get back to, where are we? CD. Awesome. All right, so we found the absolute path. Now find the directory to CD to given the current path. So I'm going to say val directory or destination directory. Directory to be, let's call this do cd. Actually, not do cd. Actually, I need to find the entry to which I need to go. This is going to be a method that I'm going to implement later, but I'm going to name it do, let's call this find entry, given the root and the absolute path. And I'll name this do find entry because this guy, this absolute path, might point to a file, not a folder. And here, later, I'm going to do some checks if the destination directory is actually a file or not, and error out if it's invalid. So let's create this little method, do find entry, given a root, which is a directory, and a path, which is a string, and this returns a dir entry. Okay. And unimplemented for now. We're going to implement it very shortly. And changing the state will need to take into account that this destination directory might actually be a file. So let's do that. So if this destination is null, because this guy will probably make use of the find entry utility method in the directory class, so we might return null. Or this destination directory is not a directory. We don't have a method yet. We are going to implement it right now. So let's call this isDirectory. We're going to implement it very shortly. So if this guy doesn't happen, then I'm going to say state.setMessage, hey, this destination directory at this given path cannot be found. So I'm going to say dir plus a colon, and in a Linux style, I'm going to say no such directory. Okay. Now I'm going to create this isDirectory method in the general dir entry class. isDirectory, which returns a boolean, and in a very symmetrical fashion, let's declare another method called isFile, which returns a boolean. Okay, and directory is going to implement them both. So isDirectory, which returns a boolean. This will be true, and the isFile method, which returns a boolean, this is going to be false. This will allow us to do some checks beforehand. Okay, and the file class is going to implement both of these methods as well. So I'm going to click on File now, and let's just implement isDirectory returns a boolean, and this guy will be false for files, and isFile, which returns a boolean, this will be true for files. So pretty straightforward. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Now, getting back to CD, we need to set the message. Okay, and otherwise, just set else state with the same root, so root, and the new working directory, which is the destination directory as directory, and with no message because the command was successful. So that should be it. And now we need to move on to this doFindEntry utility method, which itself is going to have a number of steps to follow. So first of all, we need the tokens in the path, because the path is a simple string, and we need the path token so that we can navigate safely in this file system folder structure. So first of all, we need the tokens, and second of all, we need to navigate to the correct entry. And navigating will be probably delegated to an auxiliary function that we are going to implement later. And yeah, that should be it. So just 2 steps. I'm gonna feel safe to remove these comments. Let's just keep them. So the tokens is going to be a value. This is going to be a list of string as before. So you're already familiar with tokenizing. This is going to be pretty simple. So the path is an absolute path, remember. So I'm just going to remove the first slash. So I'm going to say path substring 1. And then I'm going to split by directory separator. And then I'm going to call to list. Okay. This time I don't need to filter out the empty tokens, because this path is always going to be more than the absolute path slash. Okay, so awesome. We already have the tokens, and then just return the application of a probably recursive navigation method. So let's call this find entry navigate, or just navigate. Or find entry helper, would that be a better name? Let's just call this find entry helper, because it's easier to find inside. So find entry helper with the root and the tokens. And here we're going to define a method called find entry helper, which receives a directory, which is a current. Let's call this current directory. This will be a directory, yes. And the path, which will be a list of string. And this will return a dir entry. Okay, cool. From the start, we are going to enforce this to be tail recursive. Just to show you how the compiler will work for you, if you specify a tail recursive function beforehand, the compiler will force you to obey the tail recursive rules, that is, call this function last. So, in much the same way as we've done for other recursive functions in this application, we're going to consider the edge case first. So, what's the edge case? The edge case is path empty, or the first element of path to be empty. That means the path is just the list with an empty string. Remember, we can cd to the actual slash folder. So if path head is empty, then I will return current dir, the current directory. Okay. So if I call find entry helper with root and tokens, which is the list of the empty string, then this guy will return true, and it will return the current directory, which is going to be root. That is good. Otherwise, if there are no more tokens in the path to explore, such that path only contains one element. So if path tail is empty, that means I only have one element in the path. Then I will only need to call the utility method in directory, which says find entry. Remember this one? So we're just going to call that. So current directory find entry with path head. Otherwise, I still need to explore. So I need to know the next directory to navigate and call find entry helper recursively on that. So I'm going to say val next dir or something like that, which is current directory find entry path head. Okay. Now, if this next directory is null, that is, the entry has not been found, because remember, find entry can return null, okay, then I return null. This find entry helper can actually return a null value. Now, if this guy is null, as we've checked in step 4 in the main method, then we return no such directory. So our code is good. Otherwise, we call find entry helper with this next directory and path tail. Next dir. Oh, we need to convert this to a directory, as directory. Okay. Actually, we need to do some more checks here. So if next dir is null or not next dir is directory. right? Cool. So we have this whole function. Let's go through it again. So if path is empty or the first token is empty, then we're referring to the root folder. So I'm just going to return that. Otherwise, if path tail is empty, that is, I don't have any more tokens to explore, I'm just going to find entry from path head. Right, so I'm just going to return the entry that is immediately available to me. Otherwise, I need to create or to get hold of the next directory to navigate from. And if that is null or it's not a directory, then I'm going to return null. And the apply method is going to deal with that case for me. Otherwise, I'm just going to recurse on find entry helper. So this looks pretty good. I think we need to wrap up this video and add cd to command. And we're going to deal with relative tokens dot and dot dot in the next video, because this one is getting pretty long. I think it's almost 20 minutes long by now. So let's else if here. So else if cd equals tokens1. Then same thing with incomplete commands. Touch, instead of touch, I'm going to cd. Okay, and let's define the constant here. Val cd equals the string cd. So now we support cd. Let's run the application and see what happens. So run. And let's create a folder, mkdir a. Then cda, drums rolling. Command not found. Why? Why is command not found? Please tell me why. So cd equals tokens1, not tokens1, token0, please. So let me run this command again. So mkdir a and cda. All right, it hasn't crashed. Let's pwd, see the power now. So it's //a. Oh, okay, we're going to correct that. Now, let's mkdir b. So we're going to /a/b. So cdb. So if I do cdb right now, it's going to move to the folder b from the folder a. Okay, pwd. Uh-oh. We're getting an error and we're returning to the / folder. That's unfortunate. So if I do cda/b and pwd again, okay. So the relative path here is not working as expected. Let's fix that. So I think there's something wrong with the paths here, because if I remember correctly, pwd doesn't actually process the paths too much. So state wd path here for a/b is //a/b, which means that we're misimplementing or implementing this in a wrong way, the state wd path. And I think it has to do with paths of the dir entries, which are immediate children of the root folder. So let's go ahead and fix the path method. So parent path plus directory separator plus name. Well, it's obviously wrong, because all the dir entries which are immediate children of the root folder are going to have parent path, which is / plus directory separator, which is another / plus their name. So this is wrong. Okay, so let's fix this. Let's create a value which will add a separator if necessary. That is, if the parent path is root. So let's call this separator. Let's call it exactly that, separator if necessary. Which says if the root path is, so / equals parent path, then the empty string, otherwise the directory separator. And I would avoid this guy to be a simple literal and just extract that into a constant. Oh, we already have the root path. Okay, so let's just use that. So directory root path. So if directory root path is the parent path, then don't do anything. Otherwise, create a slash for me. Cool. So we are going to say parent path plus separator, if necessary, plus directory separator plus name. Okay. Directory separator is going to go away. And this is going to be our final expression for path. Now let's run the application again and see what happens. So if I say mkdir a and pwd returns the slash. Now if I cd to a and pwd again, I should see a single slash in front of the a, which is good. Now if I do mkdir b and then ls, we created the b correctly, then cd b, drums rolling, pwd should return a/b. Cool. All right. So we are navigating in between folders. So now if I do cd slash, I should return to the root. And if I do ls, the directory A is still there. Now if I do /a/b and pwd, awesome. Okay, pwd. Command not found. I think I've miswritten a few things here. I'm gonna stop the application right now. I'm gonna restart it. So if I mkdir a and then cd2a, mkdir b and cd slash and then cd/a/b. Okay, this works well. If I do cd simple a/b, this should also work. Awesome. So cd works pretty well, and this was a good way to test the mkdir command as well, because previously we couldn't really create nested folders with mkdir, but now we are sure that mkdir works well as well. So we're pretty good. In the next video, we are going to deal with relative tokens as well. So we're going to be able to say cda and then cd dot dot. Dot dot is going to return to the parent folder. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to see you in a couple of seconds.